All right, here we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to today's live. Today's live is a little special. It's something we've been wanting to do for a while, and we've actually been able to make it happen. So today's live is in partnership with Echo, and we're going to be talking about a lot of different things regarding Echo products, but we'll also be applying that same information to some of the issues you may be having with other brand of equipment. So the best part about today, there's two really good things about today. One, we have um, the National Service Manager for Echo here with us, and we're giving away an Echo chainsaw, compliments of Echo. So terrific. So I'd like to just introduce Ron Jensen. I think you can probably see him there on the screen. So Ron is the Senior Manager for Warranty and Training for Echo. So he's been doing this for, well, almost as long as I've been doing crazy stuff for work. Um, he's been in the industry for outdoor equipment for about 40 years. He's been with Echo for 30 years. So there's not too much about Echo equipment that he doesn't know. So we're going to take advantage of his expertise to answer some questions you may have with some of your Echo products, or if you've got some other lawn and garden product out there that's giving you some grief, we may be able to, between the two of us, come up with an answer for you. So as well through this live, if you, one of the things we'd really like to see this happen more and more. And to do that, we need to know we've got some folks really enjoying it and watching it. So if you are watching and you're enjoying this, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, even pass on to your friends that we did this, and so we can keep doing these lives and keep hopefully having the involvement of somebody like Ron with us. So Ron, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us.
Nice introduction. Thank you, Chris.
No, well earned, that's for sure. You don't get to stay in this business for all those years and not pick up a few things. So we're going to take advantage of you.
We already have questions coming in, guys, if you are ready to dive right into
We,
this.
we have questions already. Wow.
Perfect.
This is great. Okay, so here with us as well is in the background is Sarah, who's usually here for our lives. She's kind of monitoring things and making sure everything flows smoothly, and she'll be helping out with the questions as well. So, Sarah, if you want to throw the first question out there.
Yeah. All right. It came to us from Russ on Facebook. He's heard you can use canola oil as a substitute for bar oil. Is that true? Would it cause any difficulties if it gets mixed in with the petroleum oil already on your chainsaw bar?
Yeah, see, I've used regular vegetable oil when I was cutting down by the lake. Taking care of a tree that fell down. That's acceptable for a short period of time. I wanted to make sure that when I was cutting, I didn't get any of the regular petroleum bar and chain oil into the lake, have an oil slick on there. So
Right.
number one recommendation is a lot of different companies have a biodegradable oil. We do too. And then that doesn't harm the environment and it works very well. The thing that's lacking from any type of, cooking oil is that it does not have a tackifier. It doesn't have corrosion protection for the chain. And each of those links, it's very important that they're lubricated with a bar and chain oil. You never want to use even motor oil if you can avoid it. So yeah, that's the best way to go is a biodegradable oil.
Okay. So, Ron, just a question on chain oil. Here where I'm at, we've got multiple seasons, so a lot of our guys that are constantly using their saws are switching between winter grade and summer grade of chain oil. Some people say you don't need to do that, you can just use one or the other. Do you find there's a difference between them?
Oh yeah, so you got your chainsaw sitting in the back of your truck and it's 15, 20 degrees, then that oil is going to take a lot to try to get it to flow. So basically the bar and chain oil we have would run you down to 15 degrees or so, but if you get colder than that, then that can be difficult.
Right.
At that point, it can be an issue with proper lubrication.
Right. So if you don't use the right oil for the right season, you're probably going to prematurely wear your bar and chain.
Definitely, and especially wintertime, throw in some moisture from the powdered snow and some of the cutting that you're doing. And if you don't have a lot of oil to begin with, getting to that bar, then you're gonna have the chain locking up on the guide bar.
Okay. So for us being a parts seller, we like selling bars and chains. So, you know, I guess for everybody out watching, if you want to keep the money in your pocket, follow Ron's advice. But if you don't, we'll be more than happy to uh, help you order a part and send it to you. Speaking of parts, Ron, while I got you, and we haven't really talked about this much, um, we as a part supplier only sell OEM parts. So if somebody orders an Echo part, it's an Echo part. It's not a knockoff or an aftermarket type. So do you tend to find that you see a lot of requests, people asking Echo if they have aftermarket stuff or if it's all genuine OEM parts for you?
Now, obviously everything that we sell is going to be OEM. Our parts are printed to spec parts. Our qualifications. And we talked about this a little bit last week, but the aftermarket parts suppliers, if you go on Amazon, if you go on some of the other places, eBay, whatever, and you start looking for parts that says replaces this part number of Echo or Briggs or whoever, those parts, they're attractive because the price is really cheap. Sometimes, 2/3 the cost of standard OEM.
Right.
But none of those parts have really been calibrated for our engines. They haven't been, they don't have the greatest coatings on the carburetor body, the metering diaphragms inside that carb, and they will not hold up to the ethanol blended fuels.
Right.
That'll give you a problem. You could have performance issues, and it could also lead to engine failure. So definitely buy OEM parts. I've been down the road on some of the four-stroke equipment, and I got sucked into it too. But they will not give you the quality that you need, to carry on with your job and keep your engine running.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, equipment's pretty expensive, so you might save a little by that aftermarket part, but it's probably going to wind up costing you more in the long run. And if you're somebody who uses your equipment, saw, or whatever it may be for your business, the last thing you want is to have downtime because that inexpensive part failed again.
Yeah, and air filters, Chris, are really, really a problem, with chainsaws and trimmers because the filtration capacity just is not the same as what we have spec'd out and tested in the field, etc.
Yeah.
Two-stroke engine air filter is so important, as the air box for that carburetor is always under vacuum.
Right.
So you look at 10,000 RPM, the engine runs at. That's and a two-stroke engine, that's 166 air intakes per second. Much different than a four-stroke engine running at 3,200 RPM, where you're looking at 48 air intakes every other revolution of the crankshaft. So it's quite a difference. So lawnmowers, probably okay with aftermarket. Any equipment like ours or even steel Husqvarna, better be buying, OEM filters especially.
Yeah, makes good sense. So we'll take another question. And again, for you folks that are watching, please, take the second if you're enjoying this sort of video to this type of live, give us that big like and, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And again, share with your friends what we're doing here today so that if they have some questions, they'll be able to join in at some point through future lives so that we can help them with some of their questions. What else do you have there, Sarah?
All right, so this one is specifically about the chainsaw that we are giving away during this live stream. They want to know about engine size and anti-kickback features.
Okay, so the one we're giving away is a CS 4920. It's 50 cc's and it has a 16-inch bar and chain on it.
Yeah, so that particular saw itself, we talk about anti-kickback features.
Right.
And, for us that are not cutting all the time and we're not in the field, the bar is designed with smaller radius bar tip, which helps prevent against kickback. And also the chain is considered a safety chain. It cuts very fast. It's very efficient. And it has an additional ramp on the chain, what we would call drive link to help prevent against kickback should you should you end up this is probably Chris's bar, but anytime you contact wood in this upper 90-degree angle,
Right.
when you hit that into the wood, that saw can kick back very violently.
Yeah.
So the smaller the radius on the bar tip is, the safety chain will help prevent against kickback, along with the chain brake that is inertia operated. It can be done manually with your hand if your wrist hits it, or it can trigger just from the kickback force itself. So yes, very good features on there. Keep you safe and keep the speed up during your cut.
Yeah, I think anybody, including myself, that have had the opportunity to use a chainsaw have had that situation where you get a kickback, and it's amazing how fast those brakes can come on and just how much it can save you from something really terrible.
Yeah, and I mean, that's another thing. You're looking at all those cutters that are going past that bar in a second. Told you about the 10,000 RPM. You're looking at 60, 70 cutters, went from here all the way around the bar and back in 1 second. So just the slightest mistake, you can be cut severely instantly by that.
Yeah, it takes a pretty good chunk out of you. What else you got coming up, Sarah?
All right. This is from Kevin on YouTube. Their question is, do you recommend using Seafoam in Echo and other small engines to keep them running properly?
I've had a lot of experience with Seafoam at the dealers I worked at, and also, what we're doing today. Seafoam's a very good product. I have seen things where it helps immensely to reduce carbon deposits on four-stroke engines, on valves. The fuel stabilization properties are very good too. But you may also want to look at the Red Armor fuel treatment that we sell. That'll give you even more protection against corrosion and of the carburetor due to some of the ethanol blends, with the ability of that ethanol blend to pull moisture out of the air. So, yeah, I don't have any problem with Seafoam being run in our equipment.
Very good. Very good. A lot of science has gone into this stuff over the years, especially with a lot of the changes as far as emission ratings and everything else that's on this equipment.
This next question's a throwback to what you guys were talking about earlier with the chain oil. But Mike on Facebook is wondering if he can use the used motor oil from a mower for his chain oil.
Mike, used motor oil in the saws is very, very, very bad. We call that drain oil. It'd be nice to get that rid of it, besides bringing it down to your recycling center. But we see it a lot in Latin America. They pretty much use drain oil from cars all the time. And what ends up happening is that the acids that are in that used oil, sometimes it can actually have corrosion to the fact that it ends up damaging the magnesium oil tanks on some of the saws. And it'll actually, after this corrosion happens, it'll put a hole right through the tank. As far as lubrication properties, absolutely terrible. I mean, you don't have any tackifier. It's dirty, and it's going to wear your bar rail. It's going, your chain is going to stretch. So yeah, use motor oil. Never use that for lubrication.
Good information. What's your next one, Sarah?
Next is from Alan on Facebook. They are wondering about how many years warranty your products have.
Alan, I don't know if that's just chainsaws or other products, but as far as our products go, and me running warranty here, it's a pretty important area. So good question. So it's 5-year residential, So parts and labor are covered for the first 5 years. We have lifetime ignition module warranty that's covered for 5 years. And then after the 5 years is over, we would cover the module only, and then customer would pay labor. So that's homeowner side. Commercial, all of our products have a 2-year commercial warranty. The only exception is with chainsaws. Chainsaws have a 1-year warranty. And we've had a 1-year warranty on our saws for many, many years. And if you look at competition, looking at steel, their warranty is 1 year residential for chainsaws and only 90-day commercial. So, yeah, the warranty is great, but we got to have products that support what we're talking about in that warranty period. And yeah, I mean, that speaks wonders and volumes to, the equipment integrity, and especially our chainsaw build has been very, very good over the last 15 years. Quality saws, great performance.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, to think that you offer that kind of a warranty on commercial side, knowing how this product's being used. They're being used long and hard, and you can still, stand behind them for that length of time. That is impressive. No question. No question. What else you got there, Sarah?
All right, this next one is from Charles on YouTube. They have an old farm boss that takes 3 or 4 pulls to initially start. Is this normal? So I'm not sure if a boss is a mower or a saw, but whatever small engine's taking 3 or 4 pulls to get it going.
Farm boss, Charles, I think is steel. Just a little bit about saws. I know there was some questions on even Echo saw, like a 490. I think there was a 501 that took quite a few pulls to start. But models that do not have a purge bulb on it, and I think I can show it here off of this 310. Pretty much know what it is, but This is the purge bulb right here.
Yeah.
So the purge bulb is very important to helping for easy starting. So when I push that purge bulb, it's not a primer. It's not injecting fuel anywhere. What it's doing is every time I push it, then I'm pumping fresh fuel from the gas tank into the carburetor. When I release, we're pulling out the old fuel and putting it back into the tank. So with a purge type system, it gets that carburetor full of fuel 100%. So it only takes 2 pulls, maybe 3 pulls maximum to get that engine to start and run. Models, chainsaws, and others that do not have that purge feature, you have to choke it, and you have to pull the rope over on choke as many times as it would need. And it could be, in your instance, 3 to 4 pulls, which isn't too bad, before it pops, where the engine starts up and dies out. So what ends up happening is when you set that choke and pull the rope, it's putting fuel into that carburetor, 100% fuel. And then once it gets to that point, then you'll hear that pop. So it could take that long. I know with my CS500P that I run at home, that does not have a purge feature on it. So if I'm pulling it out to do a job and it's sat for a while, obviously I take care of my fuel, make sure it's treated and drained when I don't use it during off season. But that could take about 8 pulls before I'll actually hear that engine start up and die out. Now, when I'm working it normally, then I have, the pulling, the number of pulls is very similar to what you have, Charles.
Geez, if you have to pull it 8 times, I'd be having to sit down and take a break after that.
That's just initial start,
Yeah.
Chris. So, I mean, that's if it was sitting, that means the carburetor is dry. I got to get fresh fuel into that carburetor. And then after that, there's no problem. With in season, keeping it running and stuff, then it's similar to what Chris had.
Yeah. So fuel quality is going to be an issue as far as, how easy or how hard something starts as well, wouldn't it?
Fuel quality is the number one problem in the industry. I don't care whose brand it is, if it's four-stroke, 2-stroke, constant struggle. mainly because, our customers and users, they're used to automobile. So with an automobile, you never have to worry about anything to do with fuel going bad, spoiling, etc. You're going through, 15 gallons of gas a week and then refilling it.
Right.
And when you got a big volume of fuel compared to small, volumes like in ours, that fuel is not going to go bad,
Yeah.
as quickly or anything. So you don't even notice it with a car. So people are equating, hey, my car runs for no problem. My power equipment should too. So that's a very important fact, So when it comes to fuel, the fuel that we have, that we engineered fuel that's in a can that has oil mixed with it, very good choice, especially for the homeowner,
Yeah.
because you use that. There's no ethanol in it. Fuel shelf life very good, 2 years. Open 5 years as it's sitting closed, in that can. And when it comes to be football season or whatever, off season, let's say, hey, I'm watching that football game and oh God, I forgot to take that fuel out of my trimmer or my blower. And you really don't have to worry about a problem with the fuel going bad with that regular type canned fuel. However, on the other side, with the fuel you buy at the pump, you definitely want to pay attention to that. So we would say that the fuel should no longer sit around for more than 90 days. So, purchase a small supply of fuel. I go with a 1 gallon tank, 1 gallon can, and I'll stabilizer to it.
Mm-hmm.
At the time I stabilize that fuel at the pump, a lot of people think that, hey, I'm running Stabil or maybe the Red Armor fuel treatment and the gas is a year old or more. It's not going to rejuvenate the gas. So the key is, if you use a stabilizer, put it in when you buy the gas from the pump, and that'll keep your fuel in good shape during the season.
Yeah, that's interesting because, I know in doing service myself and working with my customers, you would mention fuel and how, over time it becomes, less quality, and they'd say, oh, no, that's just nonsense. That's not true. But it is. Fuel will degrade over time, and sitting in that gas can, in the shed, it's got a shelf life. There's just no
Oh
way.
yeah, it's just like a milk, a gallon of milk. Get in there and smell it,
Yeah.
and the varnish smell when fuel starts to go bad, you can smell it,
Yeah.
just like you can on spoiled milk. So yeah, it does have a shelf life. It's very important that you store that fuel as best as you can in a cool, dry place in your shed. That's and keep it sealed. Keep it sealed really well. Just about every fuel can in the market today has a no spill feature.
Right.
So that tank, when you fill the gas up in your saw or lawnmower, you pour it in, the tank automatically seals itself, and that gives you a nice airtight chamber. Fuel cans in the past used to have a removable spout and a vent, and many people wouldn't put those back on, after they filled up the tank. And as it sits, with 10% ethanol, it actually will start pulling moisture out of the air, and you'll have water in your fuel as well.
Yeah.
And when you look at an oxygenant, which ethanol is, oxygen causes steel to rust. So very the same way, you start pulling that oxygen in, you could end up having parts start to corrode, etc. So yeah, fuel supply, that's probably the biggest thing, Chris, is proper storage of fuel, knowing when that it's time to get fresh. Don't use the fuel that's existing if it has exceeded its life. Very important.
Yeah, exactly. Let me ask you a question that I get asked all the time. And again, I'm in an area where we have, various different temperature swings depending on season. When should you change your oil? Before you put it away in the fall, or wait till spring and change it.
So you're talking about, power equipment like a lawnmower, et cetera.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
what you want to do is you want to do that in fall before you put it to sleep, for the winter. So it's best to do that if there's any contaminants in there, if somehow there was some water that was in there, if it was a chainsaw, or not a chainsaw, but a snowblower.
Yeah.
So yeah, you want to do that at the end of the year. Put fresh in, you're ready to go. Don't have to think about it. And any type of acids or debris or other, byproducts will not harm anything inside the engine. So yeah, do it at the end of the year.
Good stuff. Good stuff. What's your thoughts on synthetic oil compared to regular SAE?
Synthetic oil is very good in the equipment, but in just my dealings with things, is it worth the extra money to use a synthetic oil? It's not a lot when you look at a small lawnmower engine, 20 ounces in that crankcase, but it's good. If you want to spend the extra money, you're fine.
Right. Gotcha. But it's not a warranty issue. If you have
No.
one of your products that goes south and it's got synthetic,
No.
it's not okay, great. That's excellent. That's excellent.
Just make sure it's the right, weight oil for that engine.
Exactly. So just a reminder for anybody that's just sort of joined or coming in midstream, we have Ron here from Echo who's sharing a lot of really amazing information on their products and things that apply to almost everybody's outdoor equipment product. So that's really been great. But we're also giving away an Echo chainsaw, thanks to Echo. And we've got a CS 4920, it's 50 cc's with a 16-inch bar and chain. And those of you who have been sending in some questions, you're going to wind up being entered into the contest for it as well. If you're doing a comment in today's chat, then you're entered as well. So somebody's going to wind up having this beautiful saw when we're all said and done.
We are definitely going to run out of time to answer everyone's question, but rest assured, everyone's name we're writing frantically here and putting all the names into our little bucket for the draw.
Perfect.
So maybe I'll hop back to our comment section. You guys are providing great info. One of the questions was on if you recommend premixed fuel, so I think you covered that pretty thoroughly. The next question is going to be on carburetors. It is from Dan on YouTube. He's wondering if you recommend doing a carb rebuild or buying a new one. And if you're buying a new OEM carb, is it already set to the factory specs or do you need to tune it?
Okay, so I guess, Dan, that really depends on your mechanical knowledge and, how you feel comfortable doing that or not. If you're good that side of it, then a carburetor rebuild shouldn't be an issue for you. You're going to need to have some carb cleaner like a gum out that's not very, toxic or anything, but it does a job. The metering diaphragm and the fuel pump diaphragm, pretty easy to change. The fuel inlet needle is easy to change too. But with the emission certified carburetors, those needles have limiter caps on them and you can't do anything. So they're plugged off. So that's controlled. I know Canada follows the same rules as EPA. So that can be an issue itself. When it comes to the OEM carburetor, those are set initially to start and run, the saw, but it's not dialed in to run the saw properly or the trimmer. That has to be adjusted from that point on. The adjustment needs to be done through a certified dealer that knows how to do it, that has a proper adjustment procedure guide for that. And that just makes sure that it stays in compliance with EPA. So that's the long and short of it.
Perfect.
All right, the next one is from Mark on YouTube. They are wondering what is the best way to determine if your saw chain tension is correct.
So, Mark, this is something that's really missed by the homeowner side, especially, and for the most part, anybody that's commercial, operator, it's not as much of a problem, but there's still some mistakes being made. It's something that is not easy for me to show you. Like right now, we do have videos out there that covers proper bar and chain adjustment. But, when you're running the saw, I would look towards the bottom of the guide bar here and see if that chain is slacked in the center of the bar. When it is adjusted properly, you should see no slack there. It should be snug. It shouldn't be super tight, but you should be able to pull down on that cutter drive link, and it should spring back up. So that tells you a little bit if the chain tension is correct or not. But the procedure is very important, that when you do put the chain on the bar, that you do lift up on the bar before tensioning it. So, Mark, if you want to call me later, I'd be glad to walk you through the process. But check our website to see about proper adjustment.
Yeah, you're so right, Ron. That point you made about lifting the bar tip, before you tighten, a lot of people don't do that, and then they just wind up, thinking that their chain just keeps stretching and stretching, and just not setting it properly and tightening it down.
Yeah, so when we do start to tension, there's some slack back here in the bar mount. So what ends up happening is if you just tension without pulling up the chain, as soon as you put that saw in to make your cut, then what happens is the tension looks good, but then that bar moves a little bit. So once that moves, your chain becomes slack in the bottom. So the tension isn't proper. So it's a very good possibility that chain can jump the rail at that point and damage the drive links on the chain itself and come off. So that's an important note. Always lift up on the bar and chain, and when you do your final adjustment, then tighten down the bolts. If you've got a new chain and bar, just expect right away that tension is going to loosen up quite fast. There's paint in the bar groove, the drive links and the underside of the tie straps. They're pretty solid, but things are, what I want to say, breaking in. So probably after your first 5 minutes, go back and readjust it right away, because you'll notice that chain being slack at that point where it's hanging down.
Yeah, and that's not unusual for any chain, whether it's saw or motorcycle. New chains are going to stretch. They just do. It's just part of the stuff. What else you got there, Sarah?
Okay, this next question, it's from Edward on YouTube. I'm not sure if he's referring to buying a home for the first time, but his question is, what is the worst mistake a new homeowner makes when buying for the first time? So maybe we'll just talk about mistakes that homeowners who are new to yard maintenance might do and how they can avoid those.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah, this Edward is a tough question, because I don't know if it's coming from the maintenance side or if it's just coming from product selection. Just from my experience in selling equipment to customers, if it's landscaper, et cetera, but mainly homeowners, is really qualifying, talking to the customer prior to the sale to ensure that they are getting the right product for the job. If you got an acre of grass, you don't want to be running a small curve shaft trimmer. You want to make that purchase once. You don't want to buy something that's underpowered, et cetera, and then have to get something bigger. So that's from that side. And if it comes from mistakes on a first time user of power equipment, then we got to go back to that fuel issue again. Use a canned fuel, make sure the oil is certified JASO FD oil. I'll show you what that means in a second. But keeping that fuel fresh, that's the best thing that a first time homeowner needs to do to keep that unit running and to prevent any type of failure excessive bills where you think it's going to be under warranty because there's carb issues. But I think there was a question about oil too. So, we have several different types of oil. And, obviously I want you to run Eco Oil, but, if you can't get it, then you want to look for an oil that actually has a certification label on it. And let's see if I can find that here. Hopefully you can see it. There's a certification label up top, and that oil says JASO FD, and there's a registration number. So JASO is a certification body, Japanese Automobile Standards Organization, that does certification for two-stroke engine oil. FD certification is the highest rating that's available today. And it goes through a stringent test procedure to get that logo, and it's done by an independent testing agency. So that's the best oil that can be used in two-stroke engines at the time. And anything that you're putting in our equipment is JASO FD.
Very good. Very good. I think
A lot of manufacturers don't list FD on their bottle. Some other oils that say it's good for all products, they'll show a picture of a snow blower, or leaf blower trimmer, and they'll say, hey, this works in everything, boat engine. And that's not true. You need to have an oil that meets FD certification. You'll see these buzzwords too on the bottle. It'll say meets performance requirements of, there's another industry organization, it's ISO. And, you'll see this performance requirements, but if it doesn't have the label, it's not certified. So don't use it.
Yeah, good point. Good point. What's your next question, Sarah?
All right, I've got a couple from Melody on YouTube. They are asking if this chainsaw is battery powered, and they're also wondering about the weight of the chainsaw and if it is suitable for maybe a smaller woman to use.
So they're referring to the giveaway saw?
Yeah.
Yeah, the CS4920. It's definitely a gas powered. It's not battery. And weight wise, what would you say, Ron, for weight of one of these?
Weight wise, it's a 50cc chainsaw. It is one of the lightest, and as far as the saws itself goes, that would be probably the maximum. If you're smaller in stature and you want to have a good experience using the saw. So yeah, 4920 should be well suited to you. If that you think is still excessive for you, then go with the 4510, a little bit lighter yet. If I were running that saw, and I, definitely if I was you, I would cut with a 16-inch bar as much as you can, because that'll give you lighter weight yet with the bar and chain. And then if you need to and you're cutting bigger trees, then you go up to the 20. So typically I'll cut with 16 on my 500, and then I have a 20 available in case I have something, much bigger that I need to cut.
So if we're talking like pounds or kilograms for the weight of the saw, what are we thinking there?
So basically, this is, Ron, you were saying this one's probably around how many pounds?
Yeah, so let's see. I don't know all the specs right off the top of my head, so I'm cheating right now and going to our website. But 4920, I knew you'd like that. Specs on this: 4920 weight without bar and chain is going to be 11.1 pounds.
Okay.
Where the other saw that I talked about, that was 4510, that'll come in at a little bit smaller displacement, but that'll come in at actually that's the same weight. So both those are comparable in weight. After that, it's moving down to the 4010. Now that should show you a weight difference.
Yeah.
that may get you to where you want to be.
Yeah, it's a tough question to
That's
answer.
at 9.4 pounds, so under 10.
Yeah, yeah. It's a tough question to answer without knowing, what it is you're typically looking to cut, how long you're going to be, if you're doing your firewood and you're trying to burn through a cord and getting it all cut up at once, it's going to wear you out more so than if you're just looking to limb the odd tree now and then. So, Sarah, what else you got?
Going through the list here. Okay, let's see. This is definitely a Ron question. Um, so who makes the Echo brand? Is it US based? Is it from another country? Is there a owner company of Echo? Or are they the top of the food chain there? So basically, it's a history on Echo and where you're located.
Yeah, so the history of Echo, it's pretty cool. I've been doing a lot of research, and I've been here quite some time. But Echo is a Japanese-owned company, and we have 4 plants in Japan, and we do our own design work, engineering, manufacturing. The engine block is made by the Yamabiko Corporation, which means the foundry work from doing the crankcases, the pistons, all of that is done in-house and controlled very, very well. It's not outsourced, so that engine block is 100% Japanese. The parts that go around it are also Japanese engineered, etc. So, the product itself, the Echo product, come into the United States back in 1972. So we've got well over 50 years, I think it's 55 years now, of the Echo brand being in the United States. So it's a little strange. We have our parent company that does all of the engineering work. Typically, they do some assembly to start, and then it's brought over to the United States, Lake Zurich, Illinois, where we have over 700,000 square foot, and we manufacture the product here. That means we take this engine block, we put all the other components, we do a lot of injection molding here onto the engine, the trimmer, etc. And then, of course, then it's sold out, actually we distribute to about 35 countries in the world. So not only North America, but also Latin America, some of the, Israel, some of the other countries too. So here in Lake Zurich, we're taking our parent company and manufacturing about 2 million products a year. And we have 800 employees now at Lake Zurich. So it's made right here in the USA with our parent company behind us, Japan, who has been very, very innovative when it comes to engine design, etc. So a lot of people don't know that we manufactured the first backpack blower in the industry. That was back in 78, and nobody had it. And we were the first. We were the first handheld blower produced. Nobody had it. Now everybody's got one. So there's a lot of industry first. And many of those industry first, even though we have, we're owned by our Japanese parent, Yamabiko, a lot of those first were ideas that were U.S. based, Lake Zurich engineering, our own engineers here in the U.S. that said, hey, we have a concept. We want your help to help design it and get it to the field. So most of the innovation in, the products in North America, making things easier for people to do yard work and commercial landscaping, has been founded right here with the support of our parent company.
Very good, very good. And if we sort of link back to the earlier conversation where we talked about your warranty, kind of goes hand in hand with the quality you're talking about in the design and engineering, because if that's not there, you can't do that kind of warranty. You'd go broke in a heartbeat. So, nice to see that kind of quality being built into stuff.
I would say here, Chris, and I've been here 30 years. I think our chainsaws are probably the best quality we've ever had. Real good performance, power, the build inside. There's no sacrificing durability in our equipment.
Yeah.
From that standpoint, the manufacturing, the Yokosuka plant that does engine blocks, very, very clean facility. It's almost like you could do a white glove test when the engine blocks are assembled. That's how clean the engines are before they're assembled to an actual product.
Yeah, interesting. And when you think about it, any type of gas engine product, there's normal wear and tear. Over time, they are going to need something replaced on them. So, if for us, it's great to be working with your product and your brand because of the way it is designed and the way it is built. We have the confidence. We don't sell aftermarket parts either. We only sell OEM, and we sell, if somebody wants an Echo part, they get an Echo part. So it's really comforting to know you can sell that part to a customer and know what's gone in behind to make that, so that they know that they're going to have a quality part, they're going to have the product working good again, and we're going to have a happy customer because we were able to provide that to them. So it's kind of a good partnership for sure. Sarah, do you have
Hopefully
something
that answered your question there, Edward.
Yeah, I've got lots more coming in here. We've got a couple talking about chain sharpening. So both Edward and Eric are wondering, what do you recommend when the saw loses its edge? Is it better to sharpen it or buy a new chain?
Okay, so the cutter itself, and let's see, this is just a standard chain, and this is actually a chain that doesn't have any issues or anything, but all the cutting's done is right in this corner of the cutter itself. They call it the working corner. So depending on what you're cutting, what you make contact with, if it's dirt, if it's a solid object, let's say there was a nail in a tree or you did something wrong and you're cutting your wood and there's concrete below or rocks and you hit that can put a different damage to that cutter. So for the most part, if the chain just gets a little dull where you start seeing that wood chip not come off of that chain anymore, you start seeing more dust than the wood chips. You want to see wood chips while you're cutting. Any type of dust means that chain is dull. But if the corner is not damaged too bad, then hand filing can be done. And typically, it's a good idea to touch up that chain, at the end of your day cutting. Then it's ready to go next time. Let's say you did contact something, there's some debris, a nail or something in a tree, which you find quite often actually. That'll damage the cutter enough where it would probably, at that point, call for replacement of the chain itself. Otherwise, that's too hard for you to hand file out of there. A lot of dealers have their sharpening machines that work really well. That'll help clear up the problem at that working corner, as they call it. So the chrome is actually what does the cutting on that cutter tooth itself. And once that chrome is worn off with abrasive, a lot of people think, hey, I can just touch up that corner, but it's slightly rounded. So even though you hand filed and you think, hey, I did a pretty good job, when you start cutting again, you're going to say, hey, I still got to push that saw into the wood to cut, which is very hard on your body. And, it's not a fun experience. You want that saw to pretty much almost, let the weight of the saw on the bar with minimal pressure do the cut itself. So we do have a sharpening kit that'll give you everything you need to do to touch that saw up and then take care of some other, more severe damage to the cutter itself.
There is a knack to sharpening a chain. I can't say I'm great at it. I've had it go well sometimes, and other times, I probably made it worse. Just looking at our time here, Ron, we're soon going to be getting time to do our draw. But before we get to that, we've talked a lot about gas products, and I mean, we've got a beautiful gas chainsaw here we're giving away, but you guys are also into the battery side of things as far as the trend that's going on now. So you're having good success with your product as well on the electrical side?
Yeah, yes, sir, definitely. Again, running from the warranty side, um, it's been it's been quite an evolution. I started here when the emissions were first coming out, emission regulations, and people said, "Hey, two-stroke engine isn't going to survive that." Well, it's an 80% reduction, and it's not in emission exhaust gases, and it's not going to become any more stringent, at least at this time. But the battery equipment is doing very well. We will find that in the residential side of business, it's much easier for a customer to work with. The lots are smaller. You don't have those maintenance concerns with fuel, air filters, things of that nature, fuel filters. So, there's no starting sequences you got to follow besides putting the battery in, pushing the switch, and then squeezing the trigger. So from the residential side, the battery product is getting very, very well popular, and it's very popular in the industry as a whole. When it comes to the commercial side of business, then run times are very critical. Quality of the motors, quality of the rest of the product, very important. So trimmer wise, we have some really good commercial quality trimmers with different battery sizes, which will give you pretty close to runtime as a tank of fuel as you get out of a gas product. The performance, in many cases, the battery product will have a little bit more power than a gas in some of our commercial equipment. When it comes to blowers are really difficult on batteries and runtime. So runtime on blowers, because that fan is under such a load all the time, you're looking at short run times that typically will not be acceptable to a commercial operator, and they will stay with gas, and that's because they don't have to have as many batteries on board. They can just refill when it's empty and go on again. They don't have to take that extra time or expense. The question that Peaches had here, when it comes to chainsaws, yes, I would say our battery saws are very close to gas in some of the things. If you look at like the DCS 355T, that saw there has the same cutting performance as a CS 2511T. In fact, that actually has a little bit more power than that. So yes, some of the products, the power is a little bit better over a battery, but you're looking at runtime again.
Right. So depending on your size of property and what it is you're looking to do with it, kind of dictates, your options as to which way you want to go.
Yeah, the one thing we talked about this, Chris, is we're talking about just using battery equipment for the most part. The sound, you have a lot different sound. It's quieter. You go out in the woods with a chainsaw, with a gas saw, and you hear, the engine reflecting off of all the trees. And you take a battery product out there and all you're hearing is a chain turning. It's just a different, you're like, wow, that is different. Blowers are a different story. Blowers, you will, because the motors are running very, very fast, some at 20,000 RPM, and just that speed and how it's designed, those will have, quite a loud sound to them, a different tone.
Yeah. Jet engine style sound. All righty, so we're
in our last few minutes here. Is it
Yeah.
time to give away a chainsaw?
What do you think? Yeah.
Chris, did you put my name in there?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Right next to mine. Okay, so I just do want to mention before we get into that really fun stuff of giving the saw away that this is awesome being able to have you join us and answer those questions, from your perspective with the knowledge and experience you have of Echo, and somebody's going to win this nice Echo chainsaw. But in the future, we're going to be doing more of these sort of lives, and we will be giving away some other products, such as one of the blowers that you were mentioning. This is a gas-powered one. That's going to be coming up in a future live. And I believe we also have a line trimmer and another chainsaw. Our other chainsaw will be the 34cc, and this is the CS 3510. So that'll be coming up on a future live. So you can see we really enjoy your product, and we really enjoy giving them away. So, we hope all you out there that have tuned in today, have enjoyed this video. We really want you to make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and, we're going to be here giving you more information. We're here as a company to provide you with parts you need for your equipment, and we have great support by the folks like at Echo and some of our other distributors and vendors as well. So again, we only deal with OEM parts, so you're assured that you're getting the same quality that you had when you bought it. And you can look for your parts very easily through our ereplaceparts.com or through partsselect.com. And you really just need your model number, and that's going to lead you down the path to get you to your parts breakdown, your parts listing, as well as you're going to find some instructional videos on how to change a lot of those parts, because there's no question some of this stuff you can do yourself. Some, yes, does require professional, but there is a lot as a homeowner that you can do for yourself. And if you're in a commercial business, you do a lot of your own servicing as well. So if you do need that help, we're there for you. So after all that being said and done, what do you think? Shall we look towards doing our draw? All righty. All right, so let's see. We have a whole bunch of names. And thank you all who have submitted your questions. And I know we didn't get to everybody here today, but your name is in here, and we're going to do the draw right now. And I can't see which one is Ron's or mine, so we'll go with this one.
Yeah, definitely confirming we got every name entered, even if we didn't answer your question.
All right, so we've got the draw now, and this is U-Light Pilot, also known as Zombie Dave. So Zombie Dave, you're getting a brand new Echo chainsaw. Congratulations, good for you.
all right, Zombie Dave.
Yeah, that's I'm picturing like, a horror movie now. I hope the chainsaw is going to be used for wood. Anyway, that's up to you, Zombie Dave. And, we appreciate yourself and everybody else that's tuned into this, and we look forward to doing more of these. And Ron, thank you so much for your time and giving us such great information and explanation and talking about your product and your company. We really, really enjoyed it.
Glad I could help out, Chris. And if, hopefully we can do more of these, obviously, which we will.
Good. Sounds good.
Just a quick note to our winner, Zombie Dave or U-Light Pilot. So that's a winner off of YouTube. So what you can do to claim your prize, send us an email, video@fix.com. Send us an email with just proof of your YouTube channel name so we can verify the win, and we'll get that shipped off to you. So congrats again, Zombie Dave.
Perfect. So Zombie, when you get your saw, we'd really appreciate some feedback from you as to what you think of the saw, and even if you want to do a little video of the unboxing and putting together and your reaction, we'd love to hear from you. All right, Ron, thank you again. Thank you everybody who joined us today, and we look forward to seeing you again in the future. All right. Thanks, Ron.
Yep.
We're just about done. They're signing us off now.